excellent day for an exorcism.
Welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast.
I'm John. Fuck capitalism!
I'm Lindsay, trying to write horror novels because I was a weird kid. And the whole world is your urinal.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
Hello, welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast. I'm John.
I'm Lindsay. I'm Em.
And today we are reviewing Whatever Happened to Baby Jane from 1961. This was Em's pick. Why'd you pick it, Em?
Why did I pick it?
Did you just pick it off a list somewhere?
It kept coming up, like when I was doing horror searches and stuff, it kept coming up. I've seen, all kinds of things about it. That's kind of like the Betty Davis face, the crazy face, you see that just kind of in...
Everywhere.
Yeah. And I never really thought about watching it until I started doing this, because now I watch horror movies, apparently. It just seemed like a classic. So.
Yeah, I saw posters for it and was like, no. It wasn't because it was two old ladies, guys, okay? I was literally just like, I just don't want to watch two old women yell at each other the whole time. But it was way more than that.
Definitely.
So it was because it was two old ladies, but they were yelling. Is that what it was?
They were yelling, yeah. If there was two quiet old ladies, I would have watched it.
Oh, that sounds like a great movie.
Yeah, I had seen it years ago. My dad had recommended it to me a long time ago. He thought I should see it, and I'm like, yes, it is really good. I liked it back then, and I still liked it now.
And we gave away our feelings on the movie already. Well, if you want to get a hold of us, Facebook.com/Just Another Horror Podcast. We're on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe.
Or we gonna sue your balls to the wall.
You can also email the show at justahorrorpodcast@gmail.com. Any questions, any movie ideas you want us to review, let us know. We'll do anything. We don't care. Or you can reach out to one of these two. You're supposed to
Oh, right!
Oh, Em!
On Twitter, at Just Horror Pod.
And Instagram, Just a Horror Pod.
I got that up on the spot. That's
You just looked at me and I'm like, what?
Yeah, you were like, yeah, you can. Yeah, you're right.
Try to get a hold of us.
So?
Good luck.
All right, Lindsay, how about a plot synopsis?
Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is a 1962 American psychological horror thriller film directed and produced by Robert Aldrich from a screenplay by Lucas Heller based on the 1960 novel of the same name by Henry Farrell. The film stars Betty Davis and Joan Crawford and features the major film debut of Victor Buono. It follows an aging former child star tormenting her paraplegic sister, a former movie star, in an old Hollywood mansion.
That was actually a really good one. That synopsis.
Yeah, not bad.
Covered everything. You did a lot for this, didn't you? Did you watch that documentary?
I did some research.
Okay. These two hated each other, correct?
Yeah, they were already feuding.
So the history is that Betty Davis and Joan Crawford had worked for the same production company back in like the 40s, 30s maybe even, and they had never actually done a film together, but both of them had reputations for being absolutely horrible to work with. One of the production company that ended up doing Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, Betty Davis had sued before to get out of her contract. So there's like a whole history to that. So they had been around each other and, ran in the same circles, but they had never actually worked together until this particular film, which is what I think kind of was the draw, because by the time this movie came along, they were kind of has-beens. They both had Oscars in their history, but they hadn't done anything noteworthy in a while, so I kind of think of it as maybe like, I don't know, like Mira Sorvino today. Like she had Oscars in like some popular movies back in the day, but she's not really working much now per se. Or maybe she is, and I just don't know about it. But
I'm really not sure. I haven't seen anything in a while.
I was trying to think of current day actresses that would be
comparable.
Comparable.
Yeah. Because, I feel like Mira Sorvino, she's still a lot younger than they were in this movie, right?
Betty Davis was 51, I know that.
Okay. Well, then
No,
actually,
she was 54 and Joan Crawford was 56.
My math is bad. I knew they were in their 50s.
older back then than they do now, Well, back then, not all the actresses were getting a whole bunch of plastic surgery to, make themselves look 30 years younger. So.
Right, and they used to do, extreme, especially Joan Crawford, which I think she looked amazing in this
She did, yeah.
She used to have like a really extreme beauty routine.
Yeah.
From what I heard, Bette Davis looked actually older than her, but she was actually younger than her.
Yeah.
In real life, but they both were big drinkers, big smokers. The thing I remember about Bette Davis is that in the 80s, she died in 1989, and I remember when I was little seeing her do interviews on Johnny Carson and stuff like that, and she was like this little old lady, really wrinkled up, tons of makeup, and she always had a cigarette and ashtray with her on talk shows. Wherever she went, she had a cigarette in her hand. So I'm sure that helped to age her.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I guess she didn't want to do the movie initially, but Joan Crawford talked her into it, so...
Yeah, she found the book and wanted to do it, so I came up with the idea, or, like, offered it to us.
Yeah.
So they were both hard to work with. Because I've heard that Joan Crawford was actually hard to work with, and Bette Davis was easier, and they flipped roles for this. They even put it in the poster that you have never seen these two play these roles before.
I think because of their characters. Because Blanche comes across as...
For most of the movie, is sad and helpless.
Yeah, and Bette Davis comes across as psychotic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I think Joan Crawford probably had more of a reputation for being hard to work with than Bette Davis, but they both...
So it wasn't like a reversing of rules or anything like that?
I mean, maybe somewhat, because, I mean, I don't know back
Or maybe
then.
maybe it's just like the roles they played in movies? That could
Maybe.
be. That could be it. Yeah.
I don't know a ton about either of them personally, but I do know that Joan Crawford was supposed to not be this person.
Right. She, from what I gather, so there's this movie, then there's a movie, there's a series called Feud, which actually,
Right.
there's a couple different seasons of it, but one of the seasons is about Joan Crawford and Bette Davis making this movie. And they're played by Susan Sarandon.
I remember when this came out. It wasn't long ago, it was a few years ago.
Yeah, like 2008, 2009.
Yeah. I wanted to watch it, but I didn't watch it. Did you watch it?
I started it last night. I can picture
Jessica Lange.
Jessica
Oh,
Lange.
yeah.
Which actually was the person when I was over there and you guys were talking about somebody comparable to these two. I was like, what is that woman's name from American Horror Stories?
I really like her.
Oh, okay. So the only thing, watching that Feud series last night, I'm sorry, I'm not going to say
This is
You can
fine.
cut out whatever, and plus, I mean, this
You looked this stuff up and did the work,
Right.
so...
So, Bette Davis and Joan Crawford were 54 and 56 when they actually made Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Jessica Lange was 69, and Susan Sarandon is 71 when they're making this Feud movie. So that is a little bit off. Although
I think
Susan Sarandon looks amazing.
Right, yeah, because like I was saying, like, people that are 70 now look like they're 50,
Exactly,
so
yeah.
it fits.
The Jessica Lange, I don't know. I've like I said, I've only watched it. But anyway, where was I going?
Did you watch that particular season or that particular run of episodes?
I watched 2 of them. Like what
That's
I was
okay.
talking about.
I'm gonna make you sound super smart.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. So anyway, I kind of get the idea that the movie Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is just as interesting as the backstory and the making of it and the people they were in.
Yeah.
And they were. I remember the interviews with Bette Davis. They were asking her about this movie in 1987. So that's 25 years later that they're still asking her about that movie and working with Joan Crawford. And Joan Crawford passed away in 1977. And then Bette Davis went on to say all kinds of stuff about her. And she's dead, so she can't do
Oh,
anything.
boy. And you get to the afterlife, there she is going, well, well, well.
Welcome.
Okay, so this movie starts out with tap dancing, right? It's Baby Jane in 1917. And all I could think of when I was watching this was Butters. Have you guys ever watched either of you ever seen the South Park where Butters has to tap dance?
I've got something in my front pocket for you. Why don't you reach on in my pocket and see what it is? Then grab onto it just for you. Give it a little squeeze and say, how do you do? There's something in my front pocket. There's something in my front pocket. There's something in my front pocket.
Anyway, yeah, he's doing the tap dance, kicks his tap dance shoe up, hits a light, falls down, kills everybody, right? So he doesn't want to tap dance anymore, but they need another tap dancer. The whole episode's about them getting ready to tap dance. At the end, Butter shows up, shoe goes up, kills the whole team. Anyway, this movie, that's the opening scene of this movie.
It made me think of like a Shirley Temple type character.
Yeah. I mean, she was like a vaudeville, like, theater child star.
And this,
Dancing.
that she got stuck in her brain right here. at this moment and can't get out of it.
Right, yeah.
She's like, let's do that again. And you
Best
can't.
time of her life.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't look it up, but it seemed very much like that was not really that child singing. It seemed like she was lip syncing to somebody else singing, but I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was just like, this song is weird. And then I was listening to the lyrics and I'm like, did an adult write this?
I think probably.
Her dad.
Yeah.
Her dad wrote all of her. Like,
So she really didn't do much. As a kid, that's
I mean, she
amazing
was-
to do
she
that.
was
But
talented.
Right, yeah. I mean, if she could sing like that and she had, like, the stage personality and
Right.
everything, she
Exactly.
could dance.
I just don't want to see kids up there like that. I hate
Right,
that
and
shit,
I mean,
man.
you know that it wasn't like it was her decision to go into this. Like, her dad wanted her to do it. He was kind of pushing her.
It's so weird that he can push her, but not out of getting ice cream.
Right.
It's very strange to me. Like, he created a monster and now he can't control it.
Right, yeah. And I mean, like, understanding the little girl's perspective, she is the one making the money. So, I mean, it is like, well, can't she have her ice cream? Like, she is paying for it. Like,
Shit, that's gotta be a... Having a 9-year-old be like, who pays for the food?
yeah, I mean,
I paid little dear, give me my goddamn ice cream.
They treat Blanche like absolute garbage.
yeah,
And
that's
it's
so bad for her.
messed up. And her mom's like, you need to do the opposite when you get older and do not treat them like this. But she's like, oh, I'm gonna.
She's like, oh, I'll remember. And she's just like, I mean, at that point, it like seems like you're picturing, okay, so she's probably going to be the one that's going to be torturing her sister because out of revenge.
And you kind of see that Blanche and her mom kind of have a relationship, and then Jane and her dad have this
Yeah.
relationship. Because then, even when Jane is like demanding this ice cream, and then says, "Well, Blanche wants some too," and Blanche is like, "Oh no, okay, I don't need anything. Like, you know, don't rock the boat."
Yeah,
And the dad's like, "Fuck you." I don't know.
This is your fault somehow, and stomps off. Yeah.
Why are you getting mad at her?
Yeah.
I mean, I think, was he getting mad at her because she was making her sister look bad?
Well, they were in front of all those people,
Yeah.
and all those parents were like, this kid's spoiled as shit. And the
Yeah.
other one's like, I'm good. And now all the parents are like, what's up with that one? So yeah.
Yeah.
That's why he was pissed.
Because it made Jane look bad, and that's his star.
God damn it, I hate parents.
You are one.
I know. There was a point in my 20s when I wanted to make Garrett into a hockey player. And I was like, I got the skills and the knowledge. I'm going to force him into hockey. And then I was like, no, I'm not. Fuck that. Let him do what he wants.
That's good.
Next, we see this movie. My mom was I was watching it with her, and she was completely and utterly confused. Because I guess for a 1960s movie, for it to move around in time like that is a little bit confusing, or to cut from thing to thing. Because we were watching it, and those two old dudes are watching a movie. And then it's Jane in the movie. And then it cuts back to them. It's pretty obvious.
It was a little bit confusing.
I don't think
there.
it was.
I mean, I guess I can see how you could.
I was trying to come up with an excuse to be like, what's wrong with you, Mom? What's wrong with you right now? They're watching a movie. It's what's happening.
Yeah.
Right. They were just commenting on how horrible his acting was. Because now she was in
Right.
her ish, maybe?
Yeah, this was 1935.
And she was already an alcoholic at that point, right?
Yeah, her career was on the decline. Nobody wanted to hire her because she sucked.
Right.
But they had to because Blanche was a star, and it was in her contract that she had to be in every movie with her.
No, for every movie that Blanche made,
Okay.
Jane had to also make a movie.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay,
Separate
okay.
movie.
okay.
Not the
movie,
same
not
movie.
the same one. Yeah.
I wish that people could have seen what just happened here, because I was going and going, and you were like, no.
Well, yeah, because you were right until then.
The scene that really confused me, and I guess it's on purpose, is the car wreck thing.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to know until like,
Right.
almost the end.
That was really well done. Because
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell just happened? like,
Because you see the car crashing into something, but you don't see who's driving. You don't see what they're crashing into exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and then cut to Blanche in a wheelchair, and you figure, oh, Jane wrote.
Yeah. And it makes sense. You're thinking, okay, she's jealous that her sister's now more successful than her. And
Right.
she did that because of that.
so it's been 27 years. So we jump into this, I guess, right in, like, nothing bad has happened between the two of them since they've been living together for 27 years? And this is when Jane decides to start going crazy?
Well, I think she started going more crazy because she found out that Blanche was going to sell the house.
Oh,
So, like,
that
because
makes
that
sense.
had been weeks before, and she started going downhill after that, getting crazier and.
She had been collecting all the letters and forging signatures, so...
Right, yeah.
And then there are also new television, like, repeats on television are a new thing, and they're newly showing Blanche's movies on TV, so now it's like everybody has access to it, and that's another thing. Side note, when the mother and daughter next door, the daughter is actually played by Betty Davis's real life daughter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Cool.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
There are several people and times in this movie when I'm yelling at the TV for somebody to do something, and
me
they
too.
won't do it.
That's the way I feel like old movies are. Like,
Yeah.
they make everything so much harder than it needs to
Right,
be.
yeah.
So much more dramatic.
Pacing is usually not great in 60s movies, but this one seemed to work.
I agree.
I thought the pacing was good
Yeah.
here. Like, I wasn't bored.
Right, yeah. Like, the opening credits of movies back then were always really slow and long, but other than that, it was...
I thought we were getting another, what was that one that we watched that jumped right into the middle of the movie? Carnival of Souls. I thought we were getting another one of those, because, like, there were no credits at the beginning of this movie. Not for the first, like, 10, 15 minutes. Not until the car wreck. Yeah, it opens with tap dancing, and then
they get
movies,
to the
and then
opening credits.
and I'm sitting there like, is there gonna be credits in this movie?
Yes, that last a few minutes.
Well, yeah, in the old movies, so all the credits were at the beginning of the movie instead of at the end, like they are now.
Right.
Because then at the end, it just ends. There's not, like, rolling credits.
So there is something on the poster, too, that says, please be sure to get here on time and watch from the beginning. It actually says that on the poster. Yes, it gives, like, instructions of how to watch the movie. It's weird.
Oh, that's interesting. Probably since usually the opening credits would be immediately, and people maybe would be like, we can
it's
show
just
up
the
a couple
credits.
minutes after.
Right, like today we're like, there's previews anyway, so who
Right.
cares? If I don't see the beginning of a movie, I can't watch it.
Yeah, I don't like
Are you that way, too?
Yeah, I don't like to start in the middle. I like to start at the beginning.
I can't even miss, like, the first 5 minutes ever.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I'll be like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the poster so I can read the instructions of how to watch this movie. Yeah. Things you should know about this motion picture before buying a ticket. If you're long-standing fans of Miss Davis and Miss Crawford, we warn you that this is quite unlike anything they've ever done. 2. You are urged to see it from the beginning. 3. Be prepared for the macabre and the terrifying. 4. We ask your pledge to keep this shocking climax a secret. Oops. We're not going to do that. And 5. When the tension begins to build, remember it's just a movie.
Oh, wait, I had Betty Davis's age wrong. She was 58.
Oh my god, I was way, way, way off.
56 and 58.
I said 51.
I guess she did her own makeup for this because, like, makeup artists didn't want to, like, have, like, people think they weren't good at doing makeup.
Right.
But she was supposed to have bad makeup, you know, so...
I think she came up with that on her
Yeah, I
of,
think-
like, the craziness.
Yeah.
And I think it's hilarious that she has her hair done exact same style that she had it done when she was like 8 years old, like with the curl, the blonde
yes,
curls,
and then
the,
like wearing clothes that were like that from
back
back then.
dresses and all that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, she's nuts. She's fucking bonkers. I love it.
I
And
think
apparently she was like, I don't think Jane would bathe. I think she would just put more makeup on the next morning.
That's amazing.
I feel like she's literally 8 years old in her head.
Yeah.
That she's just stuck there. She doesn't know how to be an adult. Like the way that she treats people is how an 8-year-old who was jealous or angry or, just being a brat would do.
Well, and the only time she's happy is when she's talking about when she was little and her daddy, and if there's talk of pretty much anything else, she's fairly pissed on it. She's just not happy.
Even though she's the villain, I feel bad for her too.
Oh yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's the villain and she murders somebody, and I'm still like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna like? There's a reason that she's like this, guys. You can't put kids in these situations because this is the result.
Yeah.
She refers to herself as Baby Jane.
Yeah.
She's
And nobody knows who that is.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, maybe you recognize me. I'm Baby Jane. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, sure do.
dude. The newspaper's like, So they have a maid named Elvira, who basically has been figuring out what's been going on for this whole time and tries to tell Blanche, like, your sister's fucking with you, dude.
Yeah.
Like, here's some letters. And she reads the letters and she's like, oh, they love me. And she's like, yeah, but have you read them before? Well, of course not. Someone has.
Yeah, this is the point here.
And she
all
said,
open.
and she
Maybe
said
you
something
never saw
like, well, maybe she keeps trying to make excuses for her. It's almost like she feels bad about something.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a big rumor going around, too, that Jane hit Blanche with a car, then ran off for 3 days and got drunk in a hotel with some guy. And I love that line later. We'll get to it. That is amazing. So, I think, does Elvira know they're going to sell the house?
Yes.
Okay, so she's the one that brings it up and is talking to Blanche and is like, you might want to tell her, because she probably already knows. I mean, she's like, nah, she doesn't know. I'll tell her later, and her plan is to put her in a psycho ward, or psychic. I keep saying psychic and go to psycho, and there's a different word for it that you are better at. Go ahead. A nice facility. That is it. I'm going to cut myself saying that because I did not want to say psycho.
Oh, can you plug at some point during this, the Blondie song, Betty Davis Eyes?
It's been in my head the whole time we've been doing this.
Sweet.
Yeah. Okay, so... Oh no, these notes are bad. Okay, you guys tell us where we are, and then we'll go from there. So she tells... Blanche tells Elvira, you're full of shit, right? But I think the seed is there now. So she starts, like, deciding she needs to tell Jane this now, before Jane goes crazy. And Jane's like, I already knew. I'm gonna go clean your birdcage.
Well, first of all, I have to say that, okay, at the very beginning, Blanche is watching one of her movies on TV.
Right.
Right? And then Jane comes in and says something about the neighbors watching, the mom watched, the lady next door watch. And Blanche looks up at her and goes, and
She was...
she does this imitation of her back to her. And I was just like, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be so good.
I was surprised she was honest with her, though. She's like, yeah, they liked it.
That was the beginning of, like, this is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Just watching the two of them together, I think, was going to be amazing.
Yeah. Well, when she came in and she was watching the movie, Jane shut the movie off, and she's like, I was watching that, and she was just like, well, you're stupid then, or something. I forget. Like,
Jesus Christ.
like, why would you watch yourself?
So then what happened?
Well, I'm a little off here. I'm missing the very important details. I'm glad you guys are here for that.
There's so many I don't think we can cover all the details.
It's 2 hours. It's a 2 hour
It's
movie.
over 2 hours, so.
So basically, what? Jane starts feeding her, different animals and stuff.
She
And
kills her
Just to
bird!
feed- Well, she takes her bird cage and she comes back with the empty bird cage and she's like, yeah, the bird flew out the window, sorry.
Yeah.
You guys both knew something with a dead bird was coming, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So, of course, like, when she serves her food, she's always got, like, the tin thing. What is that called? Just, like, a lid on the platter.
Yeah, it's
with
just a lid.
food.
Platter with a lid.
So, of course, you kind of know what's coming when she pulls the lid off of that.
So then
Pet bird.
it was a bird, and then it was a rat.
The rat made me laugh.
Yeah, later, rat.
I howled laughing. I was like, you knew it was there!
Yeah, you knew it.
Because right before she gave it to her, she's like, oh, by the way, we have rats in the basement.
She walks out and goes,
Yeah,
puts
she's
her
just
hand here.
waiting
Oh,
here, and then
man.
she cracks up when she
I was right there
comes
with her.
out
I
of
thought
it.
that was hilarious.
But in between those two meals, she brought her this other meal, and she was afraid to eat it because of the bird.
Right.
But it turns out that meal was totally fine, because then...
She's totally fucking with her because she's like, oh, well, I'm not bringing you your other meal until you eat the one that you didn't
yeah,
eat.
you never ate your dinner,
Your
so...
din-din. You didn't eat your din-din.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god. When I'm a crazy old lady, I'm gonna say
Din-din.
shit like
Yep.
that.
And that poor girl, she's just, like, too paranoid to eat anything that actually is okay.
Right. So then it becomes like a self-induced starvation.
Yeah.
Right. Not because Jane is necessarily starving her, but she's fucking with her so bad that she's afraid to eat.
Yeah.
And like on the rat platter, on the side there was like a roll.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why
Eat
don't
the roll!
you just
There's other stuff on there. Eat it.
Yeah. Unless she's thinking, like, well, what do I know? She probably, like, peed in the batter. Like,
Right.
you know?
I just be like, yeah.
Something.
And then Jane would be like, damn!
Or, I mean, for all she knows, she's poisoning her. Like,
I thought that was going to happen, but I think that she
Yeah.
wanted to torture her more
Right.
than kill her, so... So, this is the first time, I think, when I was like, get out of your wheelchair, crawl down the stairs, slide on your butt. Slide on your butt.
She thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
She took her phone out of the room, right?
Because she was calling somebody.
The doctor. She
Yeah.
didn't want her to call the doctor.
She didn't want to call the doctor. And then what was the reaction? Like, there was something that happened. Maybe that was about. For some reason, she ripped the phone out of the room.
Right.
It just says here she removes the telephone from her room, cutting her off from the outside world. It doesn't say why.
Okay.
I don't remember why. She does. She takes the phone.
Yeah.
I'm totally in.
Yeah, she doesn't want her to have any way to communicate with anybody.
And what I found out about 60s phones is you can't just plug them back in. You have to wire them back in. So by taking the phone out, at one point I said, go into the room and get the phone and plug it back in. Because she threw it in her bedroom. My mom's like, you can't do that. You have to have somebody physically wired into there. So, yeah, I love watching old movies with old-timey technology and stuff and seeing how they did stuff. It's so
Yeah.
neat.
Old-timey technology.
And also, Blanche had, like, instructed people not to let Jane have, like, alcohol and stuff, and so she didn't want her to be talking on the phone to those people.
Is that why she took
had
the
to-
phone?
Partially, probably, because then she called the people that she had told not to allow her that, and she pretended to be her sister, which she was very good at pretending to be
Was
her
that
sister.
a voiceover, or
I
was
don't
she actually
know.
doing that? If she was actually doing
That's
that,
amazing,
that was fucking amazing.
right?
She won a
She was
award
nominated for
She
an
didn't win it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll get to that later.
Oh, okay.
What?
Nothing. No, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. Where are we?
Well, she takes the phone, so now she's got to figure out another way to get a hold of somebody. So she writes a note.
Well, so now she's realizing, okay, like, she's
Yeah.
lost it.
Yeah.
You know.
And she's dangerous.
Is afraid for her safety,
Yeah.
right? And that drove me crazy because she goes over the window, the neighbors are out there. Why doesn't she just yell?
That's what I was about to
Yell,
say.
knock on the window, like, whatever. Like,
That's-
make noise.
Yep.
I know,
that's-
I don't understand why she didn't yell. That was weird.
That was my whole point. It's just gone.
And then there was, like, trying to get down the stairs to the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do a butt slide. Get on your butt and go.
Oh my god. You and I. We got our brains linked.
What?
I was saying the exact same thing. Slide on your butt.
So obvious.
Yell out the window. Yell.
Yeah, use your voice. Or
Yeah.
knock or make noise or whatever you need to do. You know?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
why was she so, like...
I get being scared. Like, there's a lot of things that, like, when you're so scared for your life, even the most common sense thing to do, you don't think to do it. But there were so many times when I was like, just yell, because what are they going to do? Like, what's your neighbor going to do if you're yelling, she's got me trapped up here, help?
Yeah, she's gonna help.
Right.
And I mean, the neighbor already, they wanted to meet her. Like, they came and they were talking to Jane, like, oh, we'd really like to meet Blanche sometime. And they had given her flowers and everything, but of course she never gave them to her.
Right.
And she's like, oh, she's not fit for visitors.
I feel like they were already suspicious of it. So if
Yeah.
they just would have heard her being like, help.
Yeah, they would have immediately done
Yeah.
something.
And yeah, it doesn't even matter. If Jane's down there and she hears you say it, tough. Screw it. They're not going to let Jane come at you. They're going to get the cops. Would somebody
Right.
on God's green earth call the fucking police?
I know, and I'm always like, why is she, like, waiting so long to start doing stuff when Jane leaves the place? Like, as soon as she leaves, get downstairs, call somebody, get your note ready, throw it out the window, then don't, like, wait for a while.
Right.
Like, because then, of course, as soon as she throws it, Jane's back.
And how fast does Jane zip around town that she can't write a note and throw it out the
Right,
window by the time she
yeah.
gets to the bank and back?
Watching her get to the bank, get out of the bank, and drive home before she could get down the stairs was infuriating.
Also, did you notice, so I wrote this down because at the one point when she's like hanging on the bars on the window, like looking out at the neighbor and all that kind of stuff, the music that's playing during that scene, like you would think it would be like, oh, like, you know, like tension.
Right.
It was like beachy surfer, goofy kind of music. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It was
It was
amazing.
weird though because it fit somehow.
Yeah, it did. The idea of it is horrible and awful, but it's also really funny. It's somehow really strangely funny.
It's campy. Is that the right word?
Maybe
say
I thought it was more black humory.
Oh, yeah. Like,
Definitely
Benny
black
Davis's
humor.
character, for sure, yeah.
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 So let me see here.
Oh, there was the one point where Blanche was like, why do you keep doing these awful things to me? And Jane's like, what are these awful things I'm doing to you?
Yep.
And I'm like yelling at the TV, like,
All of them.
cooking her pet bird!
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were little subtle hints, though, that something was a little off because Blanche was lying
Right.
a lot.
Yeah.
So it made you think,
So I'll say what I was going to talk about before is that, so in the book it's alluded to that Blanche put that clause in her contract that Jane had to have a movie for every time she had a movie.
Yeah.
Just to remind Jane, you don't have a career and I'm controlling what you're doing.
Yeah, because it seems like she's being nice, making it like, every time I make a movie, she can too. But, like, no, she just wanted to be controlling her.
Right. Like, make sure that you know that you wouldn't be able to do this without me. You wouldn't be able to keep working without me.
Yeah, because that's kind of more how it was the opposite way when they were little.
Exactly.
I thought it was because her mom said, please take care of them when they're
Well,
older.
yeah, that's what you
That's
think
what
for a
I
while,
thought, but I
then it
was
turns out
wrong.
that's not.
I know, because I feel like at first watch you think Blanche is innocent and a victim, and Jane is crazy and the perpetrator. And I feel like if you have to dig a little bit deeper to see it's really pretty cool.
I would say, based on what happens in this movie at the end, which we will get to, if Blanche was in the same situation as Jane was, she would do the exact same thing. If Jane was in a wheelchair and ruining Blanche's career, Blanche would tie her to a bed and gag her and kill anybody who came in the house.
Anybody?
But she'd do it nicer. She'd be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me grab this hammer."
Right.
Bam!
And she would fool people more easily.
Oh yeah.
She was just much more charming and in control of herself.
There's all kinds of psychos out there. They aren't all running around yelling like Jane, man.
Right.
Some of them are calm, quiet, and Ted Bundy.
Well, that's the thing. Like, most people that are like groomers, like especially people that are their victims are children, they have to be very charismatic in order to get people to trust them, to get them close enough to them to be able to abuse. And actually, Mikey, when he worked at George Jr.
Okay.
So my ex worked at George Jr., so he saw all kinds of kids and teenagers and all kinds of problems or whatever. And it was like the most charismatic, the most charming, but had these horrible pasts. He's like, those are the most dangerous that I see.
Because they know how to get people to do what they want.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ugh.
Creepy.
So, let me see here. After Blanche is fed a rat, that's... Okay.
She served him.
She served a rat. She's not fed it. She doesn't eat it. Yeah. Jane goes to put in an ad to try and resurrect this thing that she did when she was a kid. This career, which is one song, one dance. That's all she has going for her. But she's going to resurrect it and everything will be fine.
Well, I think she had more than that. But
Yeah, that's probably all they showed,
Yeah.
but I'm sure she did more than that.
I don't know. I don't know. Like,
for
how...
her to be that popular and sell out
Right.
these huge,
Was she that popular?
I mean, there's no way. I mean, I don't know how theater worked back then, I guess, but
That's
they
what I'm
probably
wondering.
didn't just, like, go from place to place just doing one song and dance. Like, it was probably a whole show, right?
I don't know.
Actually, one thing I noticed was that so at the beginning when she's performing, and then she goes off stage, and then another act goes on stage.
That's, yeah.
Okay,
That's
so,
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So it was almost like she was part of. It wasn't
That
her
poster
the
had
whole night.
that poster had other acts listed on it. So she might even been an opener. Who knows? She might not even got any further than being an opener.
Could have been.
But
But yet they made dolls for her and everything.
I think her-
or did her dad?
her
do
dad
something
probably made that
for
doll. Yeah, you can tell she misses her dad, but at the same time was a total dick to him. So, but
Oh, and in the book, I guess their parents died from the Spanish flu.
yeah, they never mentioned why they died, but I had a feeling that she
And
missed
in
her
the book.
dad. Yeah. So
Also, when she places that article, so do you remember in, like, was it Black Christmas? When she's giving the phone number?
fellatio, yeah.
Fellatio.
Oh, that was funny. Yeah.
And then I think it was in Fabric when it was like extension, and she named like all these numbers.
Yeah.
So this was, and we were talking about the phone numbers. So the number that she put in the article was HO6249. HO was the, I can't remember. That's like the area she lived in. So maybe it was
Hollywood?
Like, yeah.
Okay.
And then last four numbers. So that's how they did phone numbers.
Oh, that makes sense.
'Cause I remember trying to explain that in those other ones. I couldn't think of like.
I mean, there was a point way back when you would just call one number, then tell them who you wanted to talk to, and they
Right.
would connect you.
Right.
So, yeah, this makes sense. Although, I'm sure if a kid today watched this, they'd be like, what? And I don't know what the fuck any of this stuff is. Are they in another dimension or something?
Just use your cell phone. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, even when I was little, if you
Where's
hit
the stair
zero, it would take you to the operator, and you could... I don't know when that went away. I mean, I'm assuming there's no operator anymore. Hitting zero. Haven't tried in a while.
There's like one operator left
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle of the country.
Please don't dial this number. I don't want to talk to anybody. I kept yelling, where's the chairlift, too? I'm like, get on the chairlift! Take the chairlift down! So, when she leaves, she goes in... Yeah, just don't name them, John. Make them guess. When Jane leaves, Blanche is like, now's my chance. I gotta get some food in me. So she goes over to Jane's room, finds some chocolates, starts eating them, and goes through the drawer some more, finds an autographed picture of herself with her face scratched out, and then several of her signatures being forged, and checks.
Yep, she's practicing that signature, so that when she kills her, she can just continue getting her money.
Or has she been doing? She's been doing that.
Well, yeah,
right?
she's
She's already
been
doing it.
But
She
like,
tries at one point later to
point,
do it.
Remember, Blanche says to her, "Have you thought about like if something happens to me, you won't be able to have any money?" And she's like, "Yeah, I've thought about it."
And I figured it out.
Yeah. I did not enjoy the eating sounds that they added while she was munching on those chocolates, but I never like that because those weren't even real.
It didn't match her mouth at all. I was like, they really wanted to get across that she was so hungry. She was just chowing down on chocolates.
So now she's decided she's going to go down the stairs. So while Jane is out buying, she drops off the ad and then buys a dress. Is that right?
Hey,
These
wait
are
a second.
two different times.
Should we go back though? Like, she put the ad in the paper,
Okay.
but then she gets the guy. You know, like he's at home with his mom. Like, we skipped all that.
I did?
I don't think we talked about
Wait.
it, did we?
We didn't talk about him.
We talked about her putting the ad in the paper, and then we just
So the
passed by all
first
the guy.
time she's out of the house and she tries to throw the note, that's when she's putting the ad in the paper. Then there's a different time.
That's why. I got
she's out
those
of the
messed
house
up.
when she goes and gets the chocolates and finds the signatures. And
That's
then I
when-
think it's a different time she's out of the house when she goes down to try and use the phone.
Pencil, so I can remind myself of this.
What's this guy's name?
Edwin.
Oh, yes, Edwin.
So I got the times that she left the house confused because she leaves the house the first time, then to take Edwin home, then
Okay.
buy a dress, come home, and then the third time that she leaves. Does she leave a third time? Doesn't matter.
I feel like, yeah,
Where
she
we are
does.
right now is fine, yeah. So,
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to, but I'm
Excuse me.
being pushy. I don't mean
Okay,
to be pushy.
It was a long movie with a lot of... I feel like it cut a lot. Like, there was a lot of... Yeah.
So,
But Edwin is like not a successful musician and everything, so he's just looking at ads in the paper and trying to find a job.
I
and-
love Edwin and his mom.
Me
The
too.
dynamic between those two is great. She's just smoking cigarettes, and I love it.
And he's thinking, okay, established musician or whatever, like needs somebody to accompany them.
He has his mom pretend to be his secretary on the phone with Jane. I love it.
Professional.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So Edwin comes over, and she calls, right? He calls her first,
Yeah.
then goes over and plays the piano so she can do her song. And
And you can tell he's thinking, okay, this is a little weird.
this woman
but
is
you're gonna pay
insane.
me.
Yeah. Well, he has to make sure first. He's like,
Right.
you need to make sure that I know you're going to pay me.
Yeah.
And
So she's like, okay, Wednesday, I'll pay you a month in advance.
so, are they broke?
Wait, who broke? What?
Is Jane broke? Or does she just not know how to handle
Blanche
money?
Still
Or?
gets checks all the time. I mean, like when
Right.
But
Jane goes to the bank, she's like, okay, instead of depositing a check this time, we want to cash it. Well, that's what Blanche was.
That's what I meant. Like, Jane has no money unless
Right.
Blanche gives her money.
She's living off of Blanche's
okay.
money.
Okay. And that's why this whole money thing is like a big deal. Okay, I got it. Good.
And I don't know who actually owns the house because
Yeah,
Blanche says that she owns it and Jane says that their dad bought it and gave it to her.
And you know, I kind of believe Jane over Blanche there because Blanche lies all the time. And I mean, why would Jane
In 1962
be saying that to Blanche? Like, because she knows Blanche probably really knows the truth too.
In 1962, Blanche and Jane are living together in a mansion purchased with Blanche's movie earnings.
Okay, well,
Alright.
There you
I
go.
don't know, but
How can they fight about like facts like that?
right, 'cause,
You know what I mean?
I mean, one of them knows that they aren't right. One of them knows that they're lying about it, and they have to know the other one is aware.
How ahead of this time is this movie? It's like what it is like now. Like somebody who knows something is completely...
facts. Alternative facts.
Yeah. Just because that's the way it is doesn't mean I have to believe it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's
And it almost is like Blanche is kind of gaslighting Jane sometimes, you know? She's trying to be like, you know... 'cause
They're
she
gaslighting
won't
each other.
admit.
right. And you spend almost the entire movie thinking Jane is crazy and Blanche victim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I took that at face value
Yeah.
that Blanche owned the house, not Jane.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then the end makes you go back over the entire movie and be like, wait a second.
This is a rewatch movie for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
thinking about it as we're talking about, there are several signs that Blanche is not what she says she is, but Jane is the one we see doing all... Because we're in such a short time frame here. We only see what happens during these days,
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to know what all those years were like in between.
so... Horrible.
Like before it got to that point, like after the accident, and then before all this started.
That's what I meant, though. Like, 27 years of this,
Yeah.
and none of this happened, and now this is... But it's because of, like you said, it was just the perfect storm of everything coming together. Selling the house, the movie's on,
Yep.
she's jealous... Maybe she even feels like I'm getting too old to do anything. I gotta do something now. So Edwin's getting paid $100 a week, which back then, jackpot,
Would've been
baby.
good, yeah.
So
Even just, I looked up, so when Jane put the article in the paper, or the ad in the paper, and it was $16.30, which is equivalent to 60 some dollars. So that would be like the rate. So he would actually be making $600
crazy amount, yeah.
or $800 a week.
sweet. So after Edwin comes over, Blanche takes the opportunity to sneak in and get the chocolate while Jane is driving Edwin home. That's where we are now. Okay. Once she finds all that stuff in the drawer we were talking about earlier, she's like, I gotta get out of here. So she gets to the stairs, and oh god. I just kept thinking, first of all, you don't have to make it dangerous. You can back up away from the stairs, get out of your chair, and then crawl down the stairs. Slide on your butt. Lay on your back.
That's what I thought she would do, but
Instead, she does this crazy thing where she's like pushing herself, using her arms to push what her legs would be doing down the railing, and she's exhausted when
Like
she gets down.
leaning over the banister, like
Yeah.
almost falling, like she could
Yeah.
fall over the banister if she leaned too far. It was very nervous.
yeah.
And meanwhile, Jane is like Superwoman, flying around town, going to all of these stores at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And that's what was so frustrating me, was like watching her. You knew she was going to get home. You knew this wasn't going to work. But again, she's on the phone with the doctor and trying to explain to the doctor, who's a real asshole, like, my sister's like fucking me up, and it's dangerous here, and she's crazy. And he's like, are you sure she's alright? Maybe she's just fine. She's stressed a little bit, or
I need more information.
yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll come over. I can fit some time in. And literally, Jane hangs up on him, and he's still not like, I need to get over there. Like,
I mean, he was planning on coming over, but he wasn't
Right.
like
He
worked
wasn't
up
in a
about it or
hurry,
anything.
no.
Yeah.
so then Jane catches her in the middle of the conversation and kicks the shit out of her, basically.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like such a mannequin moment.
And then gets
And
back.
then she calls the doctor back.
Jane's going to another doctor. And can't stop her.
Right, and if you're that doctor, are you like, Jane's going to another doctor in the last 2 minutes?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I couldn't even get out the door.
Not only that, but it goes from, I'm really scared. I need your help. Please come here, too. Oh, never mind.
Oh, she decided to go to another doctor. Nothing you can do. That wouldn't be suspicious.
These people they don't give a shit.
All the cops.
Yeah,
too.
all the cops.
But like,
Right.
I was like, fuck this doctor.
So now Jane just takes to strapping her to bed. She's just not going to get out of bed again.
Yeah.
Oh, there was also that really chilling thing that she said where she was like, we're not selling the house and you're never leaving it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep.
that would be scary.
Definitely.
So Elvira knows what's going on, but just can't seem to get in there, you know?
Yeah.
She comes to help one day, and Jane tells her, no, you can have a day off. Don't come back till next week. So then she does come back a little early, catches Jane as Jane's leaving to go somewhere, and is like, can I go in and see Blanche? She's like, no, you're fired. And so Jane is
Well,
like...
she tells her that they're moving.
Right.
And so that's why she's...
But Blanche Elvira knows that Blanche is planning on putting her in a home and that she shouldn't be that calm
she
about
knows
this.
something's
And
up here. So she pretends that she doesn't have her keys with her to give them back to Jane.
right. How does she get into the house? Jane leaves and she goes in with the keys,
she
right?
pretends like she's
She
leaving.
has her keys.
But she really did have her keys
This
with her.
is when Garrett was doing the thing I was telling you about right around here.
Oh, so you were distracted.
I was distracted. So you
Okay.
guys got to go from here until she gets hit on the head with a hammer.
So, go ahead.
Oh, you can.
So Elvira goes back to the house while Jane is gone and goes upstairs and finds Blanche's door locked and is figuring that Jane locked Blanche in her room. So she is trying to get the door off the hinges when Jane comes back.
When she first got there into the house, I thought it was kind of weird how she's like going around like, Blanche, like, well, where do you think she is? She's
Yeah,
right up in her room. She
Can't go anywhere else.
Opens up like a cupboard. Are you in there?
So then when Jane gets back, because Blanche had a hammer and a screwdriver in her hand, she was trying to take the door off the hinges. So then she puts those down. As soon as she put them down, I was like, don't.
I walked in and yelled that, yeah. I saw her put a hammer down and it focused on it. I'm like, oh, she's dead.
Yeah. So when Jane comes back, actually, I really respected Elvira's character for really confronting her the way she did. And Jane backed down. Jane was like then afraid of her. Like,
She didn't know what to do because you don't know what to do when you're 8 years old.
because she's never been confronted like that, probably.
Very
too.
simple, fight or flight with
Yeah.
her. No
I
other.
also kind of thought, though, that she was pretending so that she could catch her off guard with the
be.
hammer. So, I don't know.
I felt like she was in fight or flight mode. She's like, should I run away?
Yeah, I
Or
didn't
should I
think,
hit her? I don't know what to do.
I didn't think she thought of actually killing her until after Elvira went in the room and she saw the hammer sitting on the table
Yeah.
outside.
Maybe.
And that's when she was like, oh, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, so then Jane kills Elvira. Hits her with a hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
I mean,
cool.
Blanche is trying to warn her, but of course she can't talk. She's got her mouth.
Right, so she's... Go ahead, sorry.
I mean, her mouth's like taped shut, right? Is that what it is? And then, I mean, she's like trying to tell her, but I mean, obviously, she's just like, oh, don't worry, calm down. I'll like get you loose. Like, no, just turn around.
Yeah, I would have thought that she would at least turn around and be like, you bitch! And then like continued onward, but no, nothing. So
And she had her hands tied to the device that
she uses to get out of
Blanche
bed.
uses to get out of
Right.
bed. So it was like hanging over
Yeah.
top. Which, like, if I lay just with my hands on my stomach, they fall asleep.
Yeah,
You know what I
imagine
mean?
having
Like,
them
can
up
you
above
imagine?
you.
That's
like
part of
that.
why crucifixion was such a painful way to die. They didn't drive stakes through their hands like they say they did. They tied them to ropes and had their arms and legs extended for a long, 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 long
Oh
time.
my god, the blood flow. The lack of blood flow. And she was there for, like, days, right? Ugh.
So poor Elvira.
Right, and I wasn't sure, like, I didn't know if Blanche was dead when she got kicked all over the floor. You know, we
Right.
found out she was alive, and I wasn't sure that Elvira was dead
Until they wheel her out.
until Jane wheels her out.
But there was a scene when Jane was like crawling up the stairs crying and saying, what am I going to do, where I genuinely felt bad for Jane.
Yeah.
I really, really did. Because, like, if you're murdering somebody and you want to murder somebody, you're not crying and being like, what am I going to do? Like, I felt real, real, real bad for her. Because it felt like her whole world was, like, just collapsing around her and she's too stupid. By stupid, I mean young brain, stupid, to know what to do. So...
Right, and she actually went to Blanche for help then.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was like,
Yeah, like
Which
Blanche
is
was gonna help
weird.
me, you know, but she didn't know what else to do. So she's like, well, my older sister, she can help me. Like,
because in all actuality, she's depended on other people her
Right.
entire
Yeah.
life.
Maybe that's why she's so determined to get this thing started on her own, so she can do something on her own. Could be something like that.
Maybe, but then she immediately is depending on Edwin.
Right, she can't play the music, so you're right.
So what was the conversation with Edwin? Are you thinking of the same thing I'm thinking of whenever Edwin's mom is trying to tell him that Jane is crazy and not to work with her and not to go with her? And she was found in a hotel room with some strange man or whatever.
She'd never seen before, and he goes, why does that bother you? Isn't that how I was conceived? And it storms out.
It's amazing.
Oh, man. But when Jane does talk to Blanche, Blanche is trying to say something.
Right.
We don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
She's trying.
Oh, right. She repeatedly is like, oh, about the accident, about
Right.
the accident. And
Jane doesn't want to hear.
Look, I'm sorry I did this to you. I'm really sorry. I don't want to hear about it. It makes me depressed. And I'm like, well, at this point, I'm like, just, you need to listen to whatever it is she has to say. I wasn't like, oh, it's important.
Right,
Like,
yeah, because you don't know yet.
yeah. So the next day or a couple days later, the police call and they're like, Elvira's missing. She's usually there. Do you know anything? And she's like, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, sounds good to me. Bye.
We'll be back in touch.
Yeah.
They said we're going to check out other houses in the area too, but we'll probably come back to you. But these cops are just
Worthless.
so we know that this. It's so funny to me because we know that this woman is missing. The cops know this woman is missing, or I don't think they know that she's dead yet. But and they have called this place, right? And then now they're bringing like a drunk person back here, and like. Isn't
Well, he was
something
outside there.
fishy going
they
on
found
here?
him outside, and they thought that, well, what's this drunk guy doing outside
But
here?
still,
He
like,
claims he's
we're-
trying.
wouldn't they be like, this is that place that maybe we can check around while we're here?
Yeah, you would think.
But no,
Would they
they're
need
like,
a warrant to do that, though?
they could just ask. You know, maybe she'd be like,
Yeah.
go ahead. And if she's like real crazy
Yeah,
about it,
right.
then you go get a warrant.
Yeah.
But they're not like that. They're like, I got things to do. I got donuts to
Yeah.
eat. I got people to shoot that are just walking down the street. I don't have time for this.
You're gonna yell ACAB.
Hey, cab! Well, the reason that Edwin is there at all is because he went on Wednesday like he was supposed to do and rang the doorbell, and Jane was like, I can't let you in. I got a dead body in here. I can't let you in. So he gets drunk.
I got a dead body.
Yeah. Not right now. Come back in a few hours. So he comes back, and he, first of all, when he grabs the wheelchair and the doll, and he's wheeling around, I was laughing. But I thought it was really sweet that, like, Jane thought that he knew who she was, and so Jane gave him, like, her favorite gift in the world. It's the only edition of it, and she's giving it to him. Like, oh, that's so sweet. It's too bad that he lied to her and told her that he knew who she was. Like, everything just feels sad.
I was
Like,
thinking about it from his perspective, like,
a crazy person handing me
Well,
crazy
Sure,
doll.
he's thinking, this is all crazy, but she's trying to give him a nice gift and
I know.
everything. And
She has no friends,
yeah.
and she keeps talking about wanting to have some friends, and no one will be friends with her.
she's an asshole to everybody.
She doesn't know that,
Right.
and no one's telling her.
Well, I know, but that's the reason, like,
Yeah.
the neighbor's like, hey, how you doing? She's like, fuck off.
That's true.
Like,
When she's got the body in the car and the neighbor comes over to see what's going on, and she's like, I thought I saw a light, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, yeah, great, fine. I'm like, that's the best you're going to get from her. Get out of there, man. So once Edwin finds out what's going on, I don't know if he breaks into the room or they let him into the room.
Well, he hears something going on up there, and he starts running, and she's trying to stop him, but he gets in the room anyway.
because Blanche knocked her table
She used
over.
every bit of energy she had left to knock
Yeah.
that table over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
her starving little body.
And of course, as soon as he sees that, he's like, I am out of here.
But I think the reason that she lets him go is because she actually likes him.
He's too big. She can't do anything.
But she doesn't even think about it.
Right.
She just lets him go. She's trying to pay him even. Like,
Right,
she
yeah,
doesn't
he's like,
want
I
him
don't
to
want
go.
you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, she just wanted a friend.
Yeah. That was what was so sad at the end, too. But we'll get there in
Yeah.
just a couple of minutes.
But then, of course, she's like, oh no, he's going to tell.
Yeah,
Right,
it finally
she
dawns
knew
on
it.
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
then
she
it was
gets
time
Blanche
to
out of there. They've got to get
hit
out
the
of the
road.
house.
This says something about a fit of infantile regression. That's what she did when she took Blanche to the beach. I think the whole time she's doing infantile
Well, yeah.
regression, man.
Well, a couple times she mentioned about we can just go to the beach because I think that's where their dad used to take them. She was like, we can go to the beach just like Dad used to take us, and
So she's got her sister just laying there, she's
They're not dressed for the
alive,
beach
but
at all. They're
barely
both
on
in
the beach.
they're both in
Dresses.
dresses. Like,
Yeah.
she's in a blanket.
She can't move.
Yeah.
But
and you know what I thought? The sunburn.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Yeah.
sunburn.
Me too. Yep.
She's just having her lay there, like only her face is really showing,
Exposed.
but I mean, she could get so sunburned.
Yep.
And Jane's just dancing around.
She's
and having a
playing
good
ball
time,
with kids who are like, what is this monster?
yeah.
This crazy old woman in a dress wants to play ball with me on the beach.
And And then you see these cops.
God.
Oh yeah, because she parked when she
In the middle of the
she
road.
took to the beach. She parked in the middle of the road. So then they show an aerial view of a car having to drive around this car in the middle of the road, and I'm like, oh, okay, so that's how she's gonna get caught. 'Cause
Right.
She couldn't
Nope.
fucking park.
They just move around her. On the radio, they said something like a 40 or 41 black convertible. They didn't know what kind of car, what make, model, anything, year. Somewhere in the 40s. So that's probably why everybody just drove right by it and stuff.
Really, they had a 20-year-old car?
That's what they said, 40 or 41 black convertible. And I was like, what kind? Do you guys not know what kind of car they have? Like,
Right.
But the cops are at the ice cream thing, which immediately I was like, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. I was all excited because they were going to get ice cream. Because at the beginning of the movie, she was like, I want ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, she's finally going to get her ice cream.
Yeah, I did think of that too. That's funny.
But Blanche is trying to, like, speak to Jane. She can't really speak that well, but she tells us the big twist that Blanche was mad at Jane one night when they were at a party, and she was too drunk to drive, so Blanche drove and got them home and said, please open the gate. So Jane got out to open the gate, and she tried to hit her with the car, but Jane ran away, and she hit the gate and broke her own spine, then crawled out of the car and put herself there to make it look like someone else hit her because Jane had run off, and she could tell people that Jane had hit her. Plus, Jane was drunk and wouldn't remember that Jane hit her. Did not hit her, sorry. She tells her all of that, and her only reaction to that is, you mean we could have been friends this whole time? Which,
Oh, that was sad.
That was sad.
so sad.
That line was sad.
I don't know how investigative work was back then, but couldn't they have been able to tell she wasn't really hit by the car? Like, you would think.
Do you think if your spine was severed, your first thought would be, I need to make this look like an accident? Or somebody else did it. Like, what?
Well,
And I thought that she had, like, crawled away looking for help, and they just assumed that it was Jane that did it, and Blanche didn't correct them about it. I thought that
Blanche
that was
straight
kind
up
of
told Jane that she did it.
Okay.
Yeah. So Blanche is a real piece of shit.
Blanche told her, or the other, because Jane at one point.
Other
was
people
saying,
told her, but Blanche said, yes, you did.
Oh.
Yeah, they asked her. I think they didn't say you did this. They were like, I think you did this. Did you do this? And Jane's like, Blanche is like, yes, she did this. So, and they covered it up because they're in Hollywood.
This is all because their dad was basically a piece of it.
Mhm.
Like, treat them.
Mhm.
Generational drama.
Yeah.
It's not just the people in the family that get affected. Look at how many people's lives they fucking wrecked by doing this. Like, anyway, the cops finally get off their ass because they hear that there's a car in the middle of the road. Go look at it for a really long time. Then kind of look around. Shoot a couple of people down by the dock for littering. And then walk over and find Jane walking around with ice cream cones. And they're like, is your sister here? And like it too, they're like, here, I'll take those for you. That's fine. Here, let me take those ice creams for you. I paid for those.
She
Oh,
didn't
she didn't
pay
realize.
for them.
She just
Right. They're like, that's 40 cents, man. She just keeps leaving.
There was the line when the cops were sitting at the ice cream stand, and the cops hear on the radio, or the one guy says that they hear on the radio about the car, then they're missing and everything, and then the one guy says there's a convertible down the road that's, stopped or whatever, and the cops like look at each other and get up and go, and the one guy's like, what was that? And the guy that works at the stand was like, how do you figure cops, man?
Yeah. No.
Right.
Uh,
But then when they do find Jane, like, all these people are crowding around because they want to see what's going on
Yeah,
with
like,
these
what's-
cops and her.
yeah.
And then she's just like, oh, an audience.
jackpot. The
Yep.
little
And it
dance.
just takes her back to her childhood. She starts performing with them.
I am glad that you could see the cops actually go over to Blanche and start helping her.
I would have assumed they would have left her there. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Where's
not
your
like,
sister? I don't remember. No, I don't know what to do then. I guess she's gone.
We do a tough dance.
She's there like, help. Somebody help. Whew. What a movie.
Yeah.
All right,
Oh, it was my pick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I'm gonna watch her probably several times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not like really into like old movies so much. But
When they're
this
good,
was
they're good
amazing.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Betty Davis is freaking amazing in this. I mean, Joan Crawford's good, but Betty Davis is freaking amazing. And freaking sounds like my 14-year-old kid. What the freak? She's fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And she was nominated for an Academy Award.
What happened? What happened?
So that was the one thing. So she did these interviews in the 80s, and she was like, and they were asking about Joan Crawford. It's like, well, you know, Joan went around to everybody she knew in New York telling them not to vote for me
Oh, wow.
for the Academy Award. And so this is the 1962 Academy Awards. She also went to the other Best Actress nominees and was like, if you can't be there, I'll accept your award. If you can't be there, I'll accept your award for you, to all the other actresses. Well, Anne Bancroft could not be there, and she won. And Joan Crawford accepted her award for her when Betty Davis didn't win.
Oh yeah! What a badass!
So fucked. That is so
It's mean
fucked.
though, yeah.
So, all of that in mind.
Maybe sometimes the Academy Awards can be fun to watch then, I guess. Shit like that's going down.
It was amazing. It's amazing to watch. You can give it a 9.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can go. That's fine. I'll go. I'm right there with you. This is a spectacle. This is so much fun. It's weird to say that about a movie with so much abuse and trauma, like that's building what the movie is. But these performances are so fun. Everybody's fun. Like, I guess Elvira doesn't have a lot to do in this movie, unfortunately. But she
liked her
is
character.
determined,
Me too.
and like she's not putting up with shit. And then like Edwin is his own like personality, and it's cool though that they spent time. Cool too that they spent time giving a little bit of like character background to people,
Yeah.
like not just the big characters, but the minor characters too.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, 9 out of 10. Definitely a 9 out of 10 on this one. This is a definite rewatch. So, all right, Lindsay.
Okay, well, we have a social again. I
Woo!
also give it a 9. I thought it was fantastic. Wonderful performances. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes, but it doesn't feel like it. Like, it goes so quickly. Especially for an older movie like that. Like, they seem to usually be really slow-paced and everything, but this one, it just keeps your attention throughout the entire thing, definitely. Yeah, all the performances were great. I agree, Betty Davis was the standout, for sure. She was amazing. I bet that was really a fun role to play. I've always thought it would be so much fun to play a crazy person.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
You just kind of do whatever pops in your head, say whatever pops in there, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, keep doing it."
Yeah, it's very iconic, and it's something like you're never gonna forget that movie once you see it.
Sweet. All right. And that's it for this week. Em, you got any advice for us? Any
Oh man.
government facilities you'd like to call out for being pieces of shit? Any state-run any state-run programs you'd like to see do some improvements or make some cuts, or any budget proposals, or
What are you talking about?
did you write something down?
Say something. Oh my god. Is there like a line from the movie? Like something good?
We can't end the show. We're trapped.